Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably already know that this season of Below Deck Down Under, season 2, has been absolutely crazy. Just an emotional roller coaster for the first 6 episodes. And what you don't realize is things are only going to get crazier. And here's why. There's a lot of significance behind the fact that João Franco is the person coming in, stepping in for bosun Luke, who just got fired. Joao has worked with Aesha about 5 years ago on Below Deck Med with Captain Sandy, and their history, to say the least, is definitely a little rocky. So Aesha, who, is right now just can't even say America's sweetheart. She does live in America, but New Zealand's sweetheart, our Kiwi queen. She definitely is in her prime in her career. She's grown up in front of us on the TV, and it could be really easy to kind of assume that Joao was the only person at fault in this situation. I do think after rewatching seasons 3 and 4 and recapping everything that's been going on with Joao over the last 5 or 6 years, I think they were both very immature coming into this show, and I think now we're going to see a very different dynamic between the two of them. Here's some background on João Franco. If you're wondering why he has the craziest name you've ever seen, or you're struggling to pronounce it, his name is actually unique to where he's from, which is Zimbabwe. He grew up in a poverty and crime-ridden part of Zimbabwe. He has a very unique past, and I think it's led a lot culturally to his love for focus and high pressure and high standards to everything he does. He's a rule follower through and through. It's no surprise that Sandy even called him in season 4 her little protege, because he's just a rule follower, and he's a little bit of a teacher's pet for sure, and he absolutely stays focused on getting above, getting to the next step. He's been climbing pretty ambitiously in his yachting career. And so much of yachting and his history with yachting is because he wanted to get out of Zimbabwe. He wanted to get out of Africa, and this was the career path that could get him there. And I think his history as a captain is definitely strong, but also I can understand why Aesha would say, yeah, he'll be a great captain, but I'm not working on his boat, because they didn't exactly get along in season 4. Now, to catch you up on season 4, it may be easy for a lot of you Below Deck fans to forget that she was much younger. She was coming in about 25, 26 when they filmed season 4, her first season, which was Joao's second season. He was extremely immature in his entire season 3 appearance, but he comes back as the bosun in season 4 of Below Deck Med. And Aesha comes in as a really strong second stew, but her personality back then was also very different to who she is today. I don't think I remembered just how crazy the things that came out of her mouth on the season 4 were. The stories that she told, she was very open. She cracked a lot of vulgar jokes, and she loved being one of the boys and having a dirty sense of humor, and we love that about her. But definitely when she first came on the show, a lot of it felt like shock value kind of jokes, She definitely has that as her form of boundaries and walls up, which is, I'm just going to try to gross you out and feel you out as to where your humor stands. And I didn't remember that even Colin, who was a longtime Below Deck Med star, he was struggling with her humor as well. I don't think Joao was used to seeing women crack those kinds of jokes, and as we've seen throughout Joao's past, he definitely is a little threatened by outspoken women. So he struggled in season 3, being told what to do by Hannah. He didn't like being talked down to by Hannah, and he said some pretty ugly things when they would go out and drink. We see this again in season 4 when he sees Aesha out dancing and partying with Jack, one of the deckhands who also used to date Katie Flood. And, you know, he walks up to her and says that she's whorish, which, he calls her disgusting. He continues being very judgmental of Aesha throughout season 4. And I think as she opens up in season 4 a little bit about her history with SA, I think this tells a lot of her sensitivity to this matter, and, a lot of her actions when she's cracking jokes that are sexual are a lot of her, her suit of armor to try to take back authority over things like sex that she may not have felt that control over in her past. So I think she definitely was super outspoken and loved to say things to shock people and rile them up and, just be crazy and make people laugh. That really was her drive there, is just being funny and making people, enjoy her company. And she was great at it. She still is. She still has some of that boyish, crass sense of humor, and we love that about her. But she's definitely dialed it down over the last 5 years. I think as she's settled into these leadership roles, as well as more of, into her steady relationship with her fiance, I think she's definitely matured over the years. And who hasn't matured over the last 5 years? I would expect to see the same thing from Joao. When we saw Joao in season 4, he was heartbroken over the stewardess Brooke from season 3. And, he had a lot of feelings. And I also think he did make a good point to not get into any relationships or flirting or anything like that in season 4. So I think we'll see a more mature version of Joao. What I'll tell you to look out for is definitely his misogyny and his uncomfortability with authoritative women, where, he may have been super close with Captain Sandy and had a great respect for her. He's now coming onto the boat halfway through the season where Aesha is queen. It is Aesha and Captain Jason, and they are thick as thieves. So I do think we're going to see a different situation for him where Aesha is now in an authoritative position, and we may see that challenged. I also think these guys on the crew are going to get some tension from him. We already know that Culver was kind of looked over, for being able to step up into a bosun role, which is fine. But I also think we're going to see Joao's just very cutthroat, lack of empathy, and straightforward, blunt nature continue to ruffle some feathers on this crew that seems to have a good vibe, especially now that Luke's gone. So Joao's in a relationship now after they've aired this season 2, so I don't think he's going to have any relationships. I think what we'll see is Culver having a relationship between the chef and also the new stewardess who will come on board. So I think we'll see more of the love story and everything going on that side of the boat. And I think Joao's going to come in and be all business. He's got a lot to prove. He always has. He wants to show that he is the best bosun, second officer, first officer, captain that there's ever been. And he's going to follow all the rules, and he's going to enforce them pretty strictly. So whether or not Aesha and Joao get along really great, we already know they kind of confront the matter head on as soon as he gets on the boat. You should know that after season 4, Aesha was very open on Watch What Happens Live and on different media spots, saying that she blocked Joao on social media and didn't regret it. Joao complained about her blocking him on social media, saying he thought they left things off as good friends. So I think we'll see a little bit of tension there because there's obviously some unresolved feelings. I think it's fair to say that Aesha has every right to feel judged by him and unrightfully judged by him. So I think that's totally fair. I do think we should see some reconciliation between them pretty early on, and I'll be interested to see, how he continues to respect her as a female in leadership on the boat moving forward. Although Joao had a very prickly personality, especially when it came to drinking on nights out during Below Deck Med, I do want to call out that Joao has now been on his sobriety journey for several years now as well. I think that's going to play into effect as we are getting into the show on Below Deck Down Under, because so many of the things he regrets saying in season 3 and season 4 of Below Deck Med were when he was drinking too much and probably was a little too inebriated to hold his tongue. So I think that'll help a lot. I think the fact that he's in a serious relationship, he's 5 years older, he's been a captain, I think he's going to come back strong. I just don't know if he's gained those same empathy skills that he was missing in those early seasons. And we may see that be his point of turbulence in Below Deck Down Under. So, what do you think about seeing Joao back on the screen this season? Let me know in the comments. Thanks.